We are tackling a subject today that is so massive, it honestly kind of breaks the human brain. Now, we all learned in school that nearly 3/4 of our planet is covered in water, right? Well, today, we're focusing our attention on just one of those bodies of water. We're going to map out the truly mind-bending, incomprehensible scale of the Pacific Ocean.
To really wrap our heads around its size, let's start with a fun little thought experiment. Picture this, you're standing on the ocean floor, right, somewhere between Peru and Chile. You start digging a hole straight down, directly through the very center of the Earth, and you just keep going until you pop out on the exact opposite side of the planet. So where do you think you'd end up?
Well, believe it or not, you would exit right back into the exact same ocean, specifically somewhere near Vietnam and Taiwan. This perfectly illustrates this really cool concept called antipodes, which are just diametrically opposite spots on the Earth's surface. The Pacific Ocean is so unimaginably huge that it actually has numerous antipodes completely contained within its own waters. Crazy, right?
Let's move on to Section 1. Spanning the globe, a distance unmatched.
Think about this for a second. The Earth's total circumference, meaning the distance an airplane would have to fly to completely circle the globe and get right back to where it started, is 40,000 kilometers. But if you measure the absolute longest stretch of the Pacific Ocean, going from Indonesia all the way across to Colombia, it spans 20,000 kilometers. That is exactly half of the entire planet's circumference swallowed up by just one single ocean. To put that 20,000-kilometer stretch into an even wilder perspective, let's use the moon. If you lined up our moon across that specific portion of the Pacific, you wouldn't just fit one. No way. You could fit 5 entire moons side by side across the water, and you know what? You'd still have empty space left over.
All right, Section 2, the limits of human sight.
Because our Earth is curved, actually seeing this massiveness all at once is literally impossible for us from down here. Let's walk through this progression. If you're a standard 6-foot-tall person standing on a beach, you're only seeing about 5 kilometers out into the sea. Hop in a plane and fly at the height of Mount Everest, now you can see 370 kilometers. Let's go even higher. From the International Space Station, which is orbiting 400 kilometers above us, you still cannot see the edges of the Pacific. You actually have to travel a staggering 63,000 kilometers out into deep space just to finally get 95% of this ocean into a single frame.
Which brings us to Section 3, bigger than all land.
Now, when we escalate from just measuring distance to looking at pure surface area, the numbers get truly staggering. The combined area of all the land on Earth, so every single mountain, desert, and forest put together, is 140 million square kilometers. Our neighbor, the planet Mars, has a total surface area of 148 million square kilometers. But the Pacific Ocean, it completely dwarfs them both, clocking in at 165.2 million square kilometers. If you literally took the entire planet of Mars and dropped it into the Pacific, its highest mountains and deepest craters would be completely submerged hundreds of feet underwater.
Let's bring it back to Earth for a second. It's like a giant puzzle. You could take North America, South America, Europe, Africa, Asia, Australia, Antarctica, and Greenland, and drop them all into the Pacific. Not only would every single continent fit, but you'd still have enough leftover surface area to squeeze in 8 entire countries the size of India.
Okay, Section 4, plunging into the depths.
Because it's not just vast horizontally, right? To truly understand the Pacific, we've got to look down. Contrasting the surface level with the ocean floor, we find the Challenger Deep. This is the absolute deepest known point on Earth. If you dropped a heavy weight from the surface right above it, that weight would fall 11 kilometers straight down into a pitch-black abyss before finally hitting the bottom. And the crazy thing is, the Challenger Deep isn't just some isolated anomaly. The floor of the Pacific is scarred with several other massive tectonic canyons. You got the Tonga Trench, the Philippine Trench, and the Kuril-Kamchatka Trench. Every single one of these exceeds 10 kilometers in depth.
And finally, Section 5, a restless, shrinking sea.
For our final twist here, let's look at the incredible irony of the ocean's name. Exactly 509 years ago, the Portuguese explorer Ferdinand Magellan managed to sail across these very waters. He happened to find the waters remarkably calm during his Pacific trip, so he named it the Pacific Ocean, which literally translates to a peaceful sea.
Well, the geological reality is anything but peaceful. Due to the constant grinding movements of underwater tectonic plates, the Pacific Ocean is actually shrinking every single year. Meanwhile, the Atlantic Ocean is growing at that exact same rate.
This aggressive tectonic movement at the bottom of the Pacific is exactly what triggers the vast majority of the world's earthquakes and devastating tsunamis. It's a huge reminder that this geology actively affects millions of lives along its coasts.
And to further shatter that whole peaceful myth Magellan left us with, just look at this number. There are more than 75,000 active volcanoes hidden right now at the bottom of this ocean. That includes absolute monsters like the Havery Seamount near New Zealand. 75,000. On top of all that restless volcanic and tectonic activity, it boasts a staggering 25,000 islands scattered right across its immense expanse. And what's really incredible to me is that thousands of these islands remain completely out of human reach, just entirely untouched.
Consider this for a second. Even with today's advanced technology, it could still take over a month of dedicated searching just to locate some of these tiny, untouched islands using a tool as powerful as Google Earth. So, seeing how much of it is completely inaccessible to us, we have to ask, what other mysteries, what undiscovered life or geological wonders are still waiting in the dark, colossal, and deeply unpeaceful depths of the Pacific Ocean?